Jungle.
Musara ure vari kutaura kuti when a cause resonates with your beliefs, don't focus on the messenger. Do it for your country and for your people. Aiwa, it's quite, in a profound message. Yo, a message yakatosimba. Yo.
Oh,
Don't focus on the messenger.
Uncle Jin Sandakangana one
Mm.
thing. One small thing. Muruko ziziva here. Kuti kune vanhu vari mugovernment. Anditika atinotaura mazita. Vamwe vasina mazita but vane marosa vanoplay akawanda wanda. Vakapiwa vakapiwa mafama vakapiwa chichi vari kutaurwa nemachinese. Muruko ziziva here.
Serious?
This is first hand information.
Right.
Anditika vari kutorerwa. Saka musambodhaute kuti vanhu vakatsamwa zvekutodaro. Yeah, vanhu vakatsamwa zvekutodaro Uncle G. This is first hand information. Ndikaona madocuments acho Uncle G ndichakuposterai.
Yaiwa, munongoti kandira ndobva tongoti mhanya.
Ndokukandirai.
Tongoita redact zvinofana kuitwa redacted.
Yeah.
Kuti vanhu vanyatsongoona chete kuti this is what is happening.
Kune champwitituko.
Yeah.
But let's eat and like that. The telephone tango the Xi Xiang.
Ichokwadi mwendas.
Pakatoipa. Iwo fungaiwo kuti izvoni kureva kurira nevanhu vedu munhu asingatombotya. Just do their own things. Atozvonanga ari munyika ngeatenzi wake. But anyway, Dr. Moses, do you want to come through, please? And Michelle, you follow. Dr. Moses, please take the mic.
Thank you, Uncle Jed. I trust that you are doing well.
No, I'm good, my brother. I'm good.
Yes. Did right? Did he say when does? When does it?
You're so bugere.
All right, anone zviro ndakataura ukazoti svika ndataura ukabvunza ndanga ndataura here. Ndakakunzwa. Yeah, Uncle Jed, I think I always start with saying when we look about on these issues, I am somebody who is on the side of the opposition. I believe that the ZANU-PF system is very, very problematic and probably irredeemable, and that any meaningful change in Zimbabwe is not going to come from a reformed ZANU-PF in courts, but is going to come from an overhaul of the entire system, which basically means we need a transition of power from ZANU-PF to another regime. For me, that's the starting point. But I also believe, even if when look at back to the 2017, question, yes, people participated, people embraced this so-called Second Republic. People gave Mnangagwa their goodwill, to the point that I remember when the opposition and civil society leaders went to America in December of that year, 2017, Alex Magaisa wrote a big Saturday read going to America, where he was saying that the timing of that trip was wrong because it took place at a time when people thought that they needed to give the Mnangagwa regime a chance. So Mnangagwa squandered that chance. There's no leader who is shrewd, leader who is, astute, who can do what Mnangagwa did when he got power in 2017. He was given a platform to take this country in a different direction, to bring inclusive politics. He failed to do that. But then we can't say then because he failed to do that after we gave him his goodwill, then if we are going to say another leader, even within ZANU-PF should take over, that person will fail you. Yes, that person may fail you, but if that person is clever, he will learn from the, I don't know whether to call them mistakes that Mnangagwa, has made. So, and of course, sometimes even when we change, there's a change of leadership within the same party. It builds a culture of changing leadership. We spent how many years with Mugabe? So if Mnangagwa goes and Chiwenga comes in, or someone else within ZANU-PF comes in, that builds the culture of change of leadership. And if someone who comes in is somebody who is able to learn from history, that person should be able to now say, I've been given a chance to do this. The previous presidents failed to do that. And on that note, I believe that I don't think that change in Zimbabwe will come just a sweeping change where ZANU-PF might be removed. That's the ideal. But given that there are no electoral reforms and all that, I think that change will come in ways that are unconventional, probably in ways that are piecemeal, where you have this small change building to another small change, building to another small change, and then until ZANU-PF is removed. So we need to be very pragmatic in our approach to this fight, because we are dealing with a context where conventional process of change do not work. So I believe that we should be going to the streets, those who can, and demonstrate. I know there are people who are concerned about people who are going, or whether you are going to be killed and all that. I've always said this, that we need to conscientize our people to understand that no matter how many people can go into the streets and be killed, many people are dying every day because of corruption, because they are driving on poor roads, because of economic mismanagement by ZANU-PF. People are dying daily in these hospitals that are derelict. So is it not better for people to go on the streets, even if 100 people die on that day while they are seeking change? It's better than to die in these hospitals that have no medicine. We need to get to that point that we are dying anyway, and in many numbers, whether we go to the streets or not. So it's better to die in the streets than to die in a hospital where you don't have the basic medicine, right? So we need to conscientize our people to do that. And then maybe there are people who talked about the demands, which for me is a very important point, that we can't just participate without having clear demands to say, if it is General Chiwenga who is going to take over, what are the demands that we have on the table? And I wrote something, Ango Jed, recently titled Turning the Corner, the 15 non-negotiable priorities of a possible Chiwenga presidency in Zimbabwe, where I was saying that if Chiwenga is going to be the next president of Zimbabwe, these are the non-negotiable priorities that he must take into account. For me, those are the demands that we should be, or some of the demands, there are many demands, but from my own perspective, and I don't have the time to share those non-negotiable priorities now, because there are 15 of them. But I've shared the article.
I can create time for you, my brother.
Sorry?
I can create time for you. I can create time for you where we
That's what I wanted to actually request, to say, my brother, I request time for me to speak about those priorities. That and others will say they are not exhaustive, and then we can have a platform where everyone will share their views to say, this is what we want, and I can write something as a follow-up. But that's one, I think it will be very important. I appreciate the chance
yes,
to speak about that.
No. Yeah, we can, I'll talk to you, behind the scenes, and then I'll give you the opportunity.
Okay, Ango Jet. So let me end here, but I just want to encourage my fellow Zimbabweans. Let's fight. Even if we come to a point where we have a worse situation than we were before, we will fight from there and continue fighting. I think that's the way to go. But let me end here, Ango Jet.
Right. Thank you very much, for bringing in. You brought in an important phrase in what you were saying, and that phrase, it says it's better to die standing than to live kneeling. Better to die standing than to live kneeling. What this phrase, speak of one preferring to die with dignity and principles than to live a life where you are submitting to others, a life of compromise or a life of oppression, which I want to believe is the latter, for us, a life of oppression. So it is all about one making a choice. What is it that you want to do? It may not mainly explain death in its sense as one dying, but it is one making a choice. Could no, I cannot continue to live in submission. I cannot continue to live in oppression. I would rather will stand up and be counted in whatever it is that happens to me. Or even if I am to tap out, I know I'm tapping out with dignity. I know I'm tapping out on a point of principle because I've stood for that which I believe in. That is what Mkoma is talking about. Iyo yekuti mwana wananda kwenda pafrandi mwana wananda kudai murungu ofa wani. You're just dying. Anyway, my sister Michelle, how you doing?
Audio Jungle.